Yay. Okay, so for this yin practice, there's going to be some focus in the hip area in the front and in the back and in the low back. So to start this practice, I actually want you to come into a child's pose. And for this yin practice, it's not going to be minutes of holding, but more or less breath. So each pose will be about 10 breaths long. So come into your child's pose, have your big toes come together, have your knees wide or have your knees touch, place the palms onto the mat, and you can have a bolster in between the torso or in between the legs to rest the torso, or rest the forehead onto the mat. And let's come into this practice with 3 deep cycles of breath. So take your full inhale in and exhale. Inhale in. Exhale. Take your full inhale in. Slow exhale. And then with the forehead onto the mat, maybe rock your head from side to side. Walk your fingertips a little bit closer to the top of the mat. And settle in for 10 cycles of breath. Three more breaths left. Slowly find a tabletop pose as you inhale. And then tuck under your toes, lift your hips up high to the sky, downward dog. Root your palms into the mat and imagine that you are turning your right hand to the clockwise, left hand counterclockwise, but don't actually lift and turn the hands. Slide the scapulas away from the ears. Maybe lift the heels, bend the knees, and then send the hips a little high, heels touch the ground. And drop back into your deep cycles of breath for 10 counts. You're about halfway there, so see if you can lift the hips a little higher, anchor in a little firmly. Great. Send your right leg behind you, three-legged downward dog. And then step your right foot to the outside of your right hand, coming into a dragon pose. Now, the palms are planted, your right foot is planted. Try not to just be on the pinky edge or the lateral edge of the foot, but see if you can plant your big toe down. And then maybe guide your left knee down. And you can stay up tall or come down onto forearms. You're here for 10 cycles of breath. And what I want you to do here is really root down and try not to allow yourself to collapse. Slowly come up onto your palms as you inhale. Tuck under your left toes and lift your left knee. And then spin your left foot down so you have like a warrior one foundation in the back. And then I want you to slowly and carefully straighten your right leg. And you can come up onto fingertips to start. And then maybe come down onto palms. But try to keep a nice flat back. Best as can be, reach the crown of the head forward, tailbone back for 10 breaths. With these last 5 counts of breath, can you push your left foot deeper into the mat, reach the right hip back? Three more counts. And then whenever your next exhale happens, slowly come back into your lunge, spinning the left heel up, bending into your right knee. And then send your right leg back, maybe three-legged downward dog, but then find some stillness in your downward dog. 5 breaths here, so not a full 10. 4, 3, 2, last breath. All right, keep your hands rooted and grounded as you lift your left leg behind you. Step your left foot to the outside of your left hand. Once you feel your left foot is planted firmly, then guide your right knee down. And then if you want, you can come down onto forearms or you can stay up high. If you come down onto forearms and you need something a little deeper, you can always tuck under the right toes and lift the right knee. But you're here for the next 10 counts of breath. Five more breaths. Try not to lean too far to the left or put too much weight onto one side of the body. And if you're onto forearms, slowly bring yourself onto palms. Tuck under your right toes and lift your right knee and spin your back foot down. Feel yourself push out through the pinky edge of your right foot as you guide the head of the femur bone back, or the top of the thigh back. And if you want, you can come up halfway just to set your low back and then decide how deep you want to fold. And you're here for 10 counts. And I need blocks on this side, so if you need blocks. You're about halfway there. Last breath. And then slowly come back into your lunge. Send your left leg back. And then into your downward dog. Take a full cycle of breath. And then walk your feet to the back of your hands, coming into a dangle or forward fold pose. Now, I want you to have your feet rooted and grounded into the mat. And then bend your knees, trying to keep the knees in line with the second toe. And then maybe resting your torso onto the thighs so you can drop the head down. You can grasp a hold of opposite elbows or wrap your arms behind your legs because you're here for 10 cycles of breath. And your job is to keep your solid foundation on your feet. Be gentle on yourself here. If you have blood pressure issues, maybe slowly guide yourself down. If you want, you can stay with me for about 3 more breaths. And then bend your knees so generously that the bum comes onto the mat. And then extend the legs long in front of you. Heels touch the mat. And you turn the toes up and try to keep the second toe in line with the knee. And you might have to play around a little bit with the internal and external rotation of the thigh. So try to keep that in line with the knee. Sit up nice and tall, reach your arms up high, and then slowly hinge forward. So it's like you use your nose to guide down in between the feet. And then, allow the hands to touch wherever they land. And then you can always drop the head and the neck. And you're here for 10 deep cycles of breath. See with your inhale if you can expand into the upper back. And if the exhale allows you to ground down. Halfway through, push out through the heels. Maybe send the crown of the head a little bit more forward. Finish this cycle of breath. And then walk yourself up on your inhale. Coming up nice and tall. Okay. Next, you'll come into Firelog Pose. So bring the right leg in front of you or double pigeon. And try to have the right shin parallel to the top of the mat. And then stack your left leg on top of your right. And see if you can have the knees and the ankles kind of lined up. And that helps you flex your feet. And I don't know, I have a little bit of a gap here. I could put a blanket there if I wanted to. But yeah, it kind of gives you an idea of maybe where you're at between left and right hip. And then bring your arms out to a T. Bend your right elbow. Bring the right arm in front of the face, fingertips up. And then bring the left arm on top of the right elbow, figure 4. And then keep sliding if you would like until you come into your eagle arm pose. Okay, and then when you're in your eagle arm pose, I want you to just kind of suss around with the scapulas. Make sure that you're not tensing or clenching to get into your eagle arm. And then take the thumb closest to your face and put it right on your third eye. Okay, so with the next few cycles of breath, I just want you to inhale, lift the elbows higher than the shoulders. And then exhale, allow the elbows to drop. We'll do that just a few more times. And you gauge a little bit of what's going on in your shoulders here. A little movement. Maybe one more time. And then find some stillness for the next 10 cycles of breath. And, you know, elbow height is kind of up to you. I would rather have you be at a point where you can keep the shoulders drawing down and away from the ears. Maybe kind of focus the breath on the spot of the third eye, of this forward momentum. Halfway through, see if you can root your sit bones down and the crown of the head a little bit taller. And then as you exhale, slowly unwind your arm. Bring the right hand behind you. Left hand comes behind the left shoulder. And you may clasp your hands together, or you may want to use a strap. And you come into the cow face arms with the right elbow pointing down, left elbow pointing up, and you keep your strong spine by bringing the belly button into the core so you don't push yourself too far forward. Stay strong for 10 cycles of breath. And then as you inhale, draw yourself up a little longer. And then exhale, fold forward over your legs. And you're here for 5 cycles of breath. Your job is to try to not let the shoulders collapse in and crunch up. 4, 3, 2, 1. Draw yourself up as you inhale. Release your hands. And then extend your legs wide into your wide-legged forward fold. And push out through the heels. Reach the arms up high. And then fold forward down the center. Allow the hands to rest wherever they rest. Push out through the heels, reach the crown of the head forward, and settle in for 10 deep cycles of breath. 2 more breaths. And then let your inhale slowly guide you back up, nice and tall. And then bring your left shin in front of you, parallel to the top of the mat, and then have your right leg come on top of the left. And just kind of gauge where the distance needs to be. Kind of set yourself up. Sit up nice and tall. Take a deep cycle of breath. Bring your arms out to a T. This time, you'll bend your left elbow and bring the left arm in front of the face, and then place the right arm into the crook of the left elbow. And then you guide the right elbow into the left. And then you kind of make a choice of where you want everything to be for your eagle arm pose, or maybe you want to stay in figure 4. Kind of no right or wrong. And then if you're an eagle arm, you place the thumb closest to the third eye in that space between the eyebrows. And then let's take a few deep cycles of breath here. Inhaling, raising the elbows a little bit higher than the shoulders. And then drop the elbows down lower than the shoulders. And just do this a few times. And this gives you an idea of how to play with the scapulas, how to play with your shoulder blades in relation to, like, are you bringing them up higher to your ears? Maybe you notice that you round your scapulas or your shoulder blades in a little bit, kind of rounding the front of the body. And then I want you to find some stillness. And once again, the height of the elbows at this point for me, I don't want that to be the priority. I want your shoulders dropping down and away from the ears, and maybe even imagining the tips at the end of the scapulas or the shoulder blades reaching towards your spine. So you can drop into 10 deep cycles of breath and really promote the elongation of the levators and the parts of the traps, and even a little bit of the SCM, but that's like a little bit, and that's only because of like an indirect connection. Anyway. You're about halfway there, so kind of give yourself a check-in. Two more breaths. And then take your full inhale. Slowly find your cow face as you exhale by bringing the left hand behind in the lower back, the right hand behind in the upper back. You know, and if the fingers touch, they touch. If you need a strap, you use a strap. But you find a point where where you're not gripping tight. You let it be easy. You let it be gentle. You focus more on bringing the belly button into the spine and keeping a strong core. All right, drop in. 10 deep cycles of breath. Your only job, stay strong. Inhale wide and exhale, anchor in. 3 more breaths. Inhale, grow nice and long. Fold forward as you exhale. 5 breaths here. Okay, inhale, root your sit bones down, grow up nice and tall. Release. Slowly bring the bottoms of the feet together. So slide your legs apart so the bottoms of the feet can come together like a book. And then from here, you kind of gauge how close the heel needs to be to the pubic bone. So if you want a deeper stretch, you can bring the heels in closer. If you need something a little easy, more or less in the adductors, I would take the heels away, the inner thighs, sorry. Hold on to the bottoms of the feet here so you can come up nice and tall. And you're using a little bit of your body weight to lift yourself up and bring the sternum forward just a little bit. It's not going to feel big in the pec muscles, but you should feel it in the attachments of like the clavicle and the sternum area. And then, you know, it comes back to when you had your palms connected onto the mat and you were opening up your jars. It's kind of the same thing here. So while you're here in some stillness, pulling yourself up and forward a little bit, imagine once again you're kind of rotating or externally rotating the shoulders open. So if you had your palms out and forward, but you're holding on, holding up, and slowly opening. Try to keep your chin lifted for 10 cycles of breath. You're about halfway there, so can you lift a little higher? Pull the sternum forward without bringing the belly or the belly button forward. So you're bringing the core, keeping the core strong and anchored. Full inhale. Slowly release the exhale. Bring the bottoms of the feet together onto the mat and hug the knees into the chest and see if you can sit up a little taller. And then drop the chin into the chest and lower down one vertebra at a time so that the back of the head is the last thing to touch the ground. Bringing the arms down to the side, feet are planted. From here, rock the heels back, lift and spread the toes, maybe push up onto the toes, lift the heels, and then set your heels down. Tilt the pelvis towards the head, then away. And if you want to do a full pelvic clock, you can. And then take the palms open and then to the ground. And you feel that rotation going on into the shoulders.
and into the scapula. So, you choose palms up or palms down, but then you suss the scapulas around so you feel even. And then rock the head from side to side. And then come into a point of stillness and see if you can feel the entire back connect evenly onto your mat. And then heel toe the feet mat distance apart, but keep your knees up. Take your full inhale. And as you exhale, allow the knees to fall over to the right side. If you need to move your hand, that's fine. You can take your hands out to a T. You can keep the gaze up, or you can look out over the left shoulder. And you drop in for 10 deep cycles of breath. Two more breaths. And then complete the exhale. Inhale, bring the knees back up, feet flat, wide on your mat. And then you stay here for a few deep cycles of breath. Not comparing left or right, but just being in your body right now. Maybe trying to find a foundation that you lost between the transition. Knowing that you have a grounding point. And then take your full inhale. Allow the knees to fall over to the left side as you exhale. And then find a spot where the arms need to be, where the gaze needs to stay. And drop into 10 deep cycles of breath. And then inhale your knees up. Exhale, find some stillness. Bring the knees into the chest. Wrap a hold of the knees, rock from side to side. Maybe rock your head forward and back. And then extend one leg long, followed by the other. Maybe give yourself a nice full body stretch. And then come into some stillness in your Shavasana pose, knowing that I am minding the time for you and I will call you back. Okay. Take a nice full inhale in through the nose and exhale. Slowly make some circles with your ankles and then reverse direction with your circles. And then find some stillness in the legs. And then slowly just start bringing your attention up the legs towards the knees and the thighs. If you want, you can gently rock your legs just a little bit from side to side. Great. And then I want you to take your thumb and brush it along your fingers. And then spread your fingers away from each other. Maybe even move your fingers around a little bit. Spread them wide one more time. And then maybe find some stillness from the fingers, but then roll the wrist. And then gently find some stillness. Slowly and carefully bringing your attention up your arms and into your shoulders. You gently rock your head from side to side. And then find your nose reaching up towards the sky as you reach your arms up overhead. And on the inhale, stretch the fingers and the toes away from each other. And then slow exhale. One more time, give yourself a full body stretch here. And then make your way over onto your right side as you exhale.
stay here for just a few deep cycles of breath. And then begin to push yourself up into a seated pose. Place your palms onto your thighs. Take a nice full inhale in. And exhale. Find a way to bring your palms into heart center and give yourself a soft bow. I honor this place inside of me in which the entire universe dwells. It is a place of trust. It is a place of peace. And it is a place of love. And when I'm in this place in me and you are in this place in you, together we are one. Namaste.